Hi, it's Greg with Sulcata Grove, and today we're going to take you on a little bit of a yard tour and just show you what's growing. It is at the end of May 2020, and so we're going to take a look at kind of what's got fruit on it right now and just kind of how everything's progressing. So we're starting out here in our front circle, and out here we have some dwarf Fiji coconuts. These have been in the ground for about 5 years.
At the most, yeah.
Okay, about 4 or 5 years then. They have not fruited yet, but they're about the size to where they might start fruiting this year. And so we're kind of looking forward to that and see what they do. We also grow several varieties of avocados out here. We found that they do best. This is right along the front road, so we get good drainage. We've got a Pura Vida right here. A little bit of a funny one that had a funny shape to the trunk that it's starting to grow into it. I was thinking I was going to have to regraft it, but I think it's going to be okay. We've got about 7 or 8 varieties of avocados. We tried them in different places in the yard and they just stayed too wet, but we got good drainage out here. You can see our ground cover out here is perennial peanut. You can tell by my ankles that you can't see that it's very deep and thick here. This stand has been going for probably about 5 years as well. Actually a little bit earlier. It started earlier than the coconuts did. But it's gotten really thick, it's spread really well. All of this out here came from just one original plug, so it's doing really nicely. We're going to be moving that to some other parts of the yard as well. We also have several varieties of loquat out here, and a bunch of different plumeria varieties just for color. We do have a couple of Maize in the ground, Maize Sapote. We haven't been real successful with them in the past. We're really kind of on the edge of their temperature range, but if we do have mild winters, they should do okay. This is a pace. It really needs to be topped out and shortened a little bit for our taste, but it is, you can see here, it's got some bloom coming out. It bloomed last year. Actually, there's some set fruit over there that I didn't see last year. So hopefully, the downside of mamey is from bloom till ripening, it's about 18 months, and so you got to get all that time with no frost, and you have to also be very patient. So we're hoping that it'll work out, and we'll get to try some of our own. So this is our little area where we have white sapotes. We've got some smathers, youngins, a seedling from Fruit and Spice Park, Redland, maybe 1 or 2 others. Again, we have this kind of an area that gets good drainage. They do not like being in standing water. They tend to also like a little bit of shade, which they don't have here yet, but hopefully as it fills in, they'll do a little bit better. White sapote, if you haven't tried them before, it's a citrus relative, but it tastes nothing like citrus at all. It's kind of a creamy, perfumey type of, it's very unusual fruit, but it hasn't gotten a lot of popularity yet, but it really grows very well, and it's fairly cold hardy, so you can grow it a little bit farther up in the state. So this is an area of the yard that we've recently redone. This has just been all weed beds back in here all the way up to the fence for forever. And so we're going to try to reclaim a little bit of that area. We have gone through and heavily mulched this. Mulch is almost 3 feet thick in some areas, and we've got some bananas going in and a couple of other green manure type plants. We've got some sunflower, we've got some elderberry, some lemongrass, and some things like that in here, and
yucca too.
And yucca. Yeah, yucca. And anyway, we're just trying to see if we can kind of reclaim this. Problem is, up in this area is we've got some really bad long-term weed issues, including torpedo grass that's underneath it all, and torpedo grass just comes and comes and comes. So there's actually, we put cardboard down underneath all of this, mulch on top, and we're hoping we can smother it out before it starts coming back in on top of it all. But it's just kind of an experiment, and we're going to see how it works. And plus, once we get some bananas coming in here, it'll kind of give us an extra layer of shade and wall in here. This is a Monstera deliciosa that we've had growing here for a long time. We've never actually gotten any fruit off of it. We were just discussing it has fruit. We just never gotten any, and maybe we're missing it and something's grabbing it while it's while it's ripe. But we're gonna try maybe bagging some in here, see if it lasts long enough for us to get to taste it. But Monstera grows really well, and it's also called, I think some people call it cut leaf philodendron. It's not related.
Mexican breadfruit is another
Mexican
name
breadfruit.
too.
A lot of bunch of different names for this. Maybe I think the cut leaf philodendron may be a different plant. But anyway, it grows with these holes in the leaves. It's mostly grown as an ornamental, and it is a beautiful ornamental. But it gets these stalks of fruit, and looks kind of like a jack-in-the-pulpit, which is jack-in-the-pulpit is very toxic. Don't eat that. But this does get ripe. It starts at one end, and the little cells kind of open up, and it's really good. It tastes kind of like a pineapple-y, very tropical. It's a really nice flavor. It's hard to eat though because it only ripens a little bit at a time down the stem, and the parts that aren't ripe have a lot of oxalic acid in it. So if you're sensitive to oxalic acid, it's probably not worth it for you. But it is kind of a neat thing to grow, even if it's just for the leaves. So this is currently the ugliest part of our yard tour. This area was our original banana patch for the very first place we put any in. We had about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6 or 7 varieties in here. One of which were sabas, which if you know sabas, it's a very large banana plant, and they get 20 feet tall about. Anyway, huge. And we let our stand really get out of control. You're really supposed to keep any banana stand down to about 3, 4, maybe 5 stalks. If you let them start getting more than that, then it really gets away from you and it gets hard to control. So I had to actually bring in a front end loader and rip out all of the sabas and kind of start from scratch here. So this kind of looks like a bomb went off, but it is starting to grow back. You can see here, right on the end, we have some Orinoco's that are also way overgrown. You can't even really count how many stalks are in there, but there shouldn't be more than 3 or 4 if we were properly maintaining it, but we've got more than we can keep up with, and so you end up with 30 or 40 stalks. They all start leaning out to the sides, they don't produce as well, and then it just ends up being a lot more work. So maintain your bananas, and you won't end up with a mess like this.